So, like I said, I've come up with 5 tips that should help you kind of mitigate some of the pressure or stress on your mental health right now and are designed to help you beat the COVID-19 blues. So, jumping right into it, my first tip is to establish a new routine as soon as possible. Most of us have had some type of restriction placed on us. A lot of us have been moved from going into the office or into work to telecommuting, and pretty much all the schools, I believe, I'm not certain if it's every school in the country, but I know that a lot of the schools, at least, have decided to shut down for the time being in hopes of stemming the transmission of the COVID-19 virus. So, this is a really big upheaval in our day to day functioning and our day to day life. A lot of us are being asked to do things that we normally wouldn't do, and new responsibilities have been placed on a lot of us that we normally wouldn't have. I know for me, all of a sudden we've gone from going in to see clients in the office to just doing telehealth sessions. And in combination with that transition with my business, I'm also trying to homeschool my daughter. And I say that with air quotes because I am not a teacher. Homeschooling was never something that I felt like I would have the ability, the patience to do, but that is where we are now. So, one of the best things that you can do in this situation is to establish a new routine that can become your new norm during this time of transition. Humans are really creatures of habit. And so anything that breaks our routine or changes what we have a habit of doing really messes with our homeostasis and it really throws us off balance mentally. So establishing a new routine is going to help you get back to homeostasis, and it's also going to give you that sense of power and control in a time where we really don't know what we're going to hear on the news from one day to the next. A lot of people that suffer with anxiety, for instance, if you're feeling anxious about the situation that's going on right now, a lot of that can be due to that feeling of a lack of control. So, by establishing a new routine and setting the parameters for how your day is going to look now, that kind of gives you back some of that control that you may feel like you've lost, and it helps bring you back to homeostasis mentally. So, tip number 2 is to make sure you are practicing good self care. Now, I am always an advocate of self care. I think self care is one of the most important things you can do to protect your mental health and well being. And I also think that is one of the easiest things you can do to implement more well being in your mental health. So, self care is going to look different to every single person. Not everyone is going to feel the same about the different activities that, from one person to the next. For instance, my one of my ideal self-care activities is taking a bubble bath and listening to an audiobook in the tub. For my daughter, self-care looks like watching her favorite YouTubers or getting lost in her imagination, coming up with stories for her Barbies to play out. Self care for my husband looks like playing video games and listening to 90s hip hop music. So, whatever it is that can kind of take you out of the situation that you're currently in and focus inward and focus in on yourself, that is self care. Now, of course, I'm speaking right now just specifically about mental health self care. There are other domains of self care that I encourage you to continue practicing throughout, the COVID-19 scare. But right now, talking about mental health self care, I want you to be really cognitive, really conscious about implementing self care, where you have this upheaval of your routine, it's very important to kind of ground yourself and make sure you stay mindful of taking care of your mental health. So tip number 3 is to stay social. Now, I know right now in the media, we're hearing all kind of buzzwords and buzz phrases like social distancing and shelter in place. And really, it feels like they're telling us to just kind of hunker down and, stay away from everyone. That is the best way to not contract the illness or to spread the illness. So, how do we stay social during this time? Well, luckily, we live in the technology age and we have lots of different avenues for staying social. So, while you may not be able to go out with friends to a restaurant like you would normally do, or go bowling or whatever activities you are doing with family and friends to stay social, you can still pick up the phone and call them. Now, note that I said call them, and the reason for that is you really need that human interaction, and you're not going to get that from a text message. Unfortunately, text messages are just not going to be enough for kind of cueing in that social interaction. So you really need the human component that's provided by hearing the other person's voice. Other options are to use different platforms that allow for video conferencing like Skype or Google Hangouts or something of that nature. Or if your cell phone has the capability to do a video call, just, do a video call with your family and friends. I suggest that you stay in touch and call and talk to your family and a family member and or friends at least once a week, if not more. I honestly feel like, a little bit more support in this time of uncertainty would be best, but at a minimum once a week. I say that because studies have shown that people who socialize with friends at least once a week tend to be less depressed than people who do not socialize with friends at least once a week. So, really protect this staying social piece of your routine, actually adding it into your routine and blocking off time for giving, my sister a call or giving my best friend a call. And when you put it in your schedule and it's a part of your routine, it protects that time and makes it a priority. So, number 3 is to stay social. Number 4 is to stay active. Just because we've been kind of told to stay put where we are does not mean that that gives you free reign to become a couch potato. So, yes, I understand that you probably won't be going to the gym anytime soon to get your workouts in like you may have done in the past, but there are so many other options to staying active. And if you don't have any equipment at home, you don't have a treadmill or a stationary bike or weights or whatever, you don't have a home gym, there are ways to still stay active. I would suggest looking into YouTubers that do like fitness videos, and a lot of them are no equipment fitness videos. So I would actually challenge yourself to master a no equipment workout. My husband and I, from time to time, when we would work out together, would use this one particular YouTube channel. It's called Fitness Blender. I'll drop the information in the description below. But they do really, really great workouts. And I really, honestly, off the top of my head, I can't ever remember needing equipment for any of the workouts other than maybe like a floor mat. So make sure you're staying active. The other piece to staying active is when you are exercising, your body releases endorphins. And endorphins are the feel good chemicals in your body. So, honestly, if you're staying active and exercising and, getting some movement going, your mood is going to improve. So, if you've been experiencing the COVID-19 blues, then getting active, getting moving is going to really help to lift your spirits and kind of elevate your mood because of those endorphins that are released when you're being active. So finally, number 5 is to grab some sun. So getting outside and getting a little bit of sunlight is very important. Here's why. Superman is not the only one that draws strength from the Earth's yellow sun. As it turns out, the more sunlight that you're in, your body starts to produce vitamin D. And that is very, very important, especially during a time where we're being told to kind of stay put, stay in place, don't go out. You really need to make sure you're staying on top of your vitamin D. Here's why. If you do not have enough vitamin D, a vitamin D deficiency can actually mimic depression. So you may start to feel symptoms of fatigue, depressed mood, agitation, anxiety, memory loss. All of that can actually be symptomatic of a vitamin D deficiency. Now, yes, you can use supplements. You can do a vitamin D supplement, but at the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned, ain't nothing like the real thing, baby. So I strongly encourage you to get outside, outside on your front porch, on your balcony, wherever that may be. I strongly encourage you to go outside really daily now because we are not leaving our homes as often, but at a minimum 3 times a week. So when you're going outside, the best time to do this is between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. because that's when the sun rays are going to really start to activate your body to produce that vitamin D. And you want to do this for 10 to 15 minutes. Now that time frame is if you are fair skinned. If you are darker skinned like me, then you're going to want to stay out there a little bit longer, at least 30 minutes. And the reason for that is the melanin in dark-skinned people's skin actually acts as a natural sunscreen. And so it takes us a little bit more sunlight to get the same effects and start producing that vitamin D. And that's also why dark-skinned people are more prone to a vitamin D deficiency because it's harder for the sun rays to do their job of helping us produce the vitamin D. So if you're fair skinned, 10 to 15 minutes between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. If you're darker skinned, then you want to do at least 30 minutes, same time frame, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So that is going to help you produce that vitamin D and really elevate your mood. Because like I said before, a vitamin D deficiency actually mimics depression. So if you're starting to feel like, you're feeling a little bit down or what have you, then maybe it could be something as simple as because of the changes in our routines, you haven't been getting out as much, you haven't been getting as much sunlight, and you can actually boost up your mood and elevate those levels of vitamin D fairly easy by just stepping outside your front door. So there it is, my 5 tips to beating the COVID-19 blues. Just remember to stay smart, stay safe. We're all in this together. And I hope that you find these tips very helpful in this transition period that we're all going through. So until next time, here's to you living your best life.